Okay, so now we're going to take that and we got to put it over on our grid. Okay, so 0.5 would be, remember it's up on our x-axis. Okay, so you put that there at 0.5 on your x-axis. Okay, and the other one was negative 2.5. So now go over to negative 2.5. There we go. Almost had it. Okay. Now, notice, are they the same distance? Yeah. Okay, they should be. If not, you've messed up. Okay, something's wrong. They have to be the same distance apart. Okay? All right, so now, don't make this look like a V. Curve it off a little bit. All right? This is not a V one. So we're going to curve it up, put arrows on the end of it, make it look nice and pretty. All right, and then the last step is domain and range.
Oh boy.
Oh, it's not too bad. Okay, domain. So if I think about my parabola here, my parabola's it's going to open up farther and farther and farther and farther and farther. Forever and ever and ever. It gets wider and wider as it gets bigger, as it gets higher. Okay? So with that being said, what x values do you think are going to end up graphed at the end? What x values are going to be graphed? That's what domain is, right? Domain is your x values. What x values is going to have green somewhere located on it?
The ones we can see.
No. Because I have x values here if I go way up. I have one here if I go way up. Because remember, it's going to go open up and it's going to go wider and higher.
The ones in between the curves.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I agree. Yes, but like I said, the arrows mean it goes on forever, right? Mm-hmm. So if it goes on forever, it gets wider and wider and wider and wider. Is it possible? Is it okay to say that probably all x values eventually could get graphed?
Yes.
I mean, if it gets fatter and fatter, wouldn't everything eventually get graphed? It might take a long, long time to happen, but it would happen eventually, okay? So, I'm going to give you a hint, guys. You're always going to put all reals. It's always going to be all reals for right now, okay? So your domain value, domain, is just going to be all real numbers. Okay, just like we were doing lines and some of the other pictures we've been doing this year. Okay? Now, range is a little different, okay? Because if I look at my parabola here, and I'm looking at the range, and I'm looking at y values, are we going to graph anything below the minimum? Are we going to graph anything down here? No. We're not, are we? Because this is our cutoff, and then we're going to shoot up, right? So I'm just going to use that number, my lowest y value, and we're going to go up. Since we're going up, do you think I'm using greater or less? Greater. Yeah, you're going to use greater, because we're going up, so it's greater, okay? So what you're going to put here for this is y. It's going up, so greater than or equal. It's either going to be less than or equal or greater than or equal. You only have two options, okay? And then, this is your cutoff. That's your lowest y value, right? That would be your minimum, okay? So your y value right here is going to be your y value right here as well, okay? So -7 is my lowest, it's my minimum point. So I'm going to have all values greater than -7, okay? All right, does anybody have a question for me so far? Okay, now we're going to do it again, but we're going to pace a lot, okay? It's going to get better this time. All right, so what's the first thing we need to do on step A? Step A on number 2. Yeah, let's move the 6 over. We got to get it in order, so I'm going to kick this 6 over.
I added over the x squared, so it's not negative.
You can go ahead, yes, you can do that, but we're going to go ahead. I want us to work a negative, because the other one was positive, so I want us to work a negative. But I would agree, if some people want to move over the x squared and subtract over the 4x, I'm okay with that, and I will grade it. As long as you did it all right, you're going to get full credit, okay? So it won't matter, okay? But in this case, I want to work a negative out front, so we're going to move the 6 over. So now y equals 0 equals, what are we going to put there? Negative x squared plus 4x minus 6. Okay, now, when you guys write a negative, what's actually the number there?
-1.
-1. Guys, put that in there. I'm telling you right now, you will want to do this because if not, you're going to mess up your order of operations here in a little bit, okay? So if there's not a -1, write the -1 in front. Okay, I promise it'll help you out in the long run. Okay? All right, B. So if I look at B, it says direction opening up or down?
Down,
How do we know it's down?
because the value of A is -1.
Good. A is -1, so it's going down. So if it's going down, will that give us a maximum or a minimum point? Maximum, very good. I got a picture here. If it's shooting down, that would be a highest point we would have. So maximum. All right, step B, axis of symmetry. How do we find axis of symmetry? Okay, so negative b over 2a, and so I heard x equals -6. Okay, well let's go. So what do we do? What's the opposite of b here?
-4.
-4 over 2 times
-1.
-1. Okay, yes ma'am?
That was about
No, right this moment, no. Okay, so now what are we gonna do?
5.
So, well, we don't have an answer here. What's our answer?
-2 divided by 4.
So
Or
it's
-4 divided by
2.
Yeah.
Axis symmetry, x equals 2. Okay? All right, everybody good so far on the first 4 steps? Okay, so what do we do for step E now to find the vertex? Plug it into the equation, okay? So we've got y equals -1 times 2 squared plus 4 times 2 minus 6. All right, take a second, get your calculator. Let's see what you get out. Make sure you type it just like it's up on the screen. Yeah, if you got -2, you did it right. Let us know if you didn't get -2.
So then would it be 2 -2?
That's right, very good. So your coordinate point would be 2, -2. You plugged in a 2, you got out a -2.
I think I'm doing it.
Think you're doing it wrong?
Well, you said we're supposed to get -2, that's the answer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you just type in exactly how you do it.
Oh, you don't have to.
2 squared, you don't have to do all the extra stuff. Plus 4 times 2 minus 6. You don't have to do anything, just type it straight in. Okay? All right, anybody else? Okay, let's go ahead and go over on our grid now. And so at 2, we're going to put a dotted line. Okay, and then you're going to put your vertex at 2, -2. So on that dotted line, go down to -2. And put a dot there. All right, next step says y-intercept. What's our y-intercept going to be here? 0 what?
-6.
-6, that's right, your c value, right? So where's your c value? Your c value is right there. So 0, -6. Okay, so now let's go put that on our grid, right? Graph this on our grid. So 0, -6.
Then you do the opposite.
That's right. So then what you do on one side, we got to take and put it on the other side of that dotted line, right? So for 2 over, we're going to go 2 over and put another dot there. Okay? Okay, so now it says on G, it says state the roots of 0. So if I look at my graph here, and if I'm going to go ahead and just kind of, I'm just going to get a quick little sketch so you can kind of see it here. That was not a good one. Let's try that again. Make sure it goes through your points. Don't make it look like a V. Okay, so if I look at the intercept, is it going to cross this x-axis?
No.
No, so what's your answer?
No solution.
No solution, it never touches. Okay, so it's going to be no solution. So this is, remember that said, the first thing we're going to do is just look at your graph? Well, if we just looked at our graph, we have the answer. We have to show any work there, did we? Okay, so sometimes the graph will tell us. All right, domain. What's our domain values?
All reals.
All reals, so domain is all reals. Range, you're going to start with y. Now, we're going down, so what sign should I use?
Less than
Less than or equal, right, because it's going down. All right, and then what is your y value?
-2.
-2, right? You pull that from right here, your y value right here, -2. Okay?
This ain't so bad.
No, it's not bad once you, once we get through the telling you every little step, okay? All right, real quick on the back, we're just gonna kind of talk about something briefly here. Okay, first off, is this already in standard form? Should be saying yes, right? You've already got it solved. So y equals x squared minus 16, okay? Up or down? Up, because it's positive 1. Max or min? Okay, if it's going up, right, if it's going up, that's the minimum. Okay? All right, now, axis of symmetry. Negative b over 2a, what is that going to look like here?
0 over 2a.
That's right. So your b value is not there, right? It's missing. So you have 0 over 2 times 1. So your intercept, your axis of symmetry will be 0. Okay, it's okay to have that. So when you've got 0 and you come over here on your grid, you can kind of see I have it in gradient from the last class. Your dotted line is going to go right down that y. That is okay. That's allowed. Okay, so that's where your dotted line would be. Okay? All right, so now, with that being said, if you plug 0 in here, what do you get out?
0.
If I plug this in, right, if I have x squared minus 16, if I do 0 squared minus 16, what do we get? So 0, negative 16, right? Isn't that just our c value in reality because we're plugging in 0? So E is going to be the same as F, right? 0, negative 16. It's okay for those to be the same sometimes. It's going to happen every once in a while, okay? Now, here's our main concern. How are you going to graph negative 16 on this grid? Okay, you got 2s, 4s, whatever you do though, you've got to write it in there. Show me what you're doing, okay? So if it doesn't fit, make it fit. That's what you need to know, okay? If it doesn't fit, make it fit by changing your numbers around. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to get your homework sheet. That's all we have time for today.